the brain is enclosed in a hard bony structure which is called as the brain box, or in other terms it is called as the cranium. External ear is completely absent in the case of frogs, and it possesses only ear-like structures which is called as the tympanum. A mature female frog can lay about 2500 to 3000 ova or egg at a time. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to today's session on chapter 7, that is structural organization in animals. I'm Dr. Divya, biology faculty, Vidyashram Pre-University College, Mysore, Temple of Excellence. So in the previous session, we were discussing about the morphology and anatomy of frog. And I had told you frogs are the amphibians of the animal kingdom because they live both in land as well as in water. And we also studied about the structure and what the frog skin is made of, and also we studied about the different body parts of the frog, wherein we studied about the forelimbs, the hind limbs, the head region which consists of the mouth, the compound eyes and the tympanum and all that. And also we studied a small portion of the anatomy of the frog, wherein we studied about the respiratory system, the circulatory system and the alimentary canal or the digestive system of the frog. In today's session, I will continue with the anatomy of the frog, wherein we'll study the rest, that is the excretory system, the male reproductive system, the female reproductive system, how fertilization occurs in the frog and all that. So to begin with, we shall start with the excretory system of the frog. So the excretory system in a frog, it is mainly made up of a pair of kidneys and ureters, cloaca and urinary bladder. So if you remember in the previous session, I had told you the alimentary canal at the end, it ends with the cloaca or the cloacal opening through which the excretory products come out, right? So therefore, all these, that is the kidneys, the ureters, the cloaca and the urinary bladder all together forms the excretory system of a frog. So we shall study about each of these organs one by one. So the excretory system is the organ system of the frog, and it is made up of the different organs, wherein the first organ I'll start with discussing is the kidney. So kidney, it is usually compact in nature, and the color of the kidney is dark red, and the kidney is bean shaped. It looks like a bean. So it is bean shaped like structures, and it is usually situated at the posterior part of the body cavity. Why body cavity? Because I had told you that all the organs inside a frog are present in the body cavity of the frog. So at the posterior end, that is at one end of the frog, that is towards the cloacal region, at the posterior end is situated the excretory system or the excretory organ in a frog, that is the kidney, which is compact, dark red in color and bean shaped like structures, and they are present on both sides of the vertebral columns. What does that mean? Two kidneys are present in a frog. So they are present on both ends of the vertebral column, and each kidney is made up of several structural and functional units which is called as the uriniferous tubules. So they are made up of structural units and also functional units called as uriniferous tubules, or they are also called as the nephrons. So nephrons, also while dealing with earthworm, we had come across this term called as nephron, which are nothing but also called as the uriniferous tubules, which are the functional and the structural unit of the kidneys of the frog. So as you can see here, the frog's excretory system is made up of the kidney, the ureter, the urinary bladder and the cloaca, and at present I am discussing about the kidney, wherein kidneys, it is dark red in color as you can see, and it is bean shaped. So all this, and also there is the presence of the cloacal aperture. We'll study about these in the coming slides. So next, moving on to the next part, that is the ureter and the cloaca. So the ureter are also two in number, and two ureters emerge or rise from the kidneys in the case of the male frog. So as you can see here, the ureter, they are 2 in number. So kidney is also 2 in number, 1 and 2. And this is the vertebral column. As you can see, the vertebral column, the kidney is located on either side of the vertebral column, that is at the posterior end of the vertebral column. They are located on the either side, and right from the kidney is a tube like connection which is called as the ureter. So ureters, how many ureters are present? 2 numbers of ureters are being present, and the 2 ureters, they emerge from the kidneys in case of the male frog. And the ureters, they usually function as a urinogenital duct which opens into the cloaca. So as you can see here, it functions like a urinogenital duct and it opens into the cloaca. So this is the cloaca, that is the opening. It opens into the cloaca. And next comes the urinary bladder. So excretion is through the kidneys and the urinogenital duct or the ureters, but when it comes to the urinary bladder, it is a separate organ for the passage of the urine. This is for the passage of the excretory products, but for passage of urine, there is the presence of a urinary bladder. So urinary bladder, it possesses thin wall, and therefore it is present, and also it is present in the ventral side to the rectum, which also open to the cloaca. So the movement of the solid excretory waste and the urine both are through the cloaca. So at the end, what happens? Both the ureters and the urinary bladder both have a single connectivity towards the cloaca. So as you can see here, the urinary bladders, they also are connected to the cloacal region through which the urine is passed out. And the frog, they excretes the urea, and thus it is a urotelic animal. So the frog's excretory product, it mainly consists of urea. Therefore, frogs are called as the urotelic animals, and the excretory waste are carried by blood into the kidney where it is separated and it is excreted. So blood is the one which carries the excretory waste from the kidneys and it is separated there. The blood and the excretory waste get separated there, and the excretory waste comes out of the cloaca, and also the urine which is mainly made up of the urea, or the excretory waste which are made up of urea, also comes through the cloaca. So this is the excretory system of frog, which consists of the kidney, the ureters, the cloaca and the urinary bladder. So next, moving on to the system for control and coordination. So what actually helps in control and coordination? It is the nervous system, right? So we shall study about the nervous system and the endocrine glands, which actually help in the proper functioning or functioning of the nervous system, and therefore sending the messages to the brain to perform various activities. So the nervous system or the system for coordination and control in the case of frogs includes both the neural system and the endocrine glands. So first we shall discuss about the endocrine glands, and then we will discuss about the neural system. So the endocrine glands, here the chemical coordination of various organs of the body. So there must be a coordination. Say for example, the frog sees an insect sitting on a branch. It has to put its tongue out, and with a quick snap, it has to grab that insect through its sticky tongue, right? So if it has to stick its tongue out at that particular moment, then some signals has to be sent to a brain. And how are the signals sent? It is through chemicals. So therefore, the chemical coordination of various organs of the body is achieved by various hormones which are secreted by the endocrine glands. So the endocrine glands, organs or the structures that secrete various hormones, and these hormones sends various chemical messages to the organs that are present inside the body cavity of the frog. Therefore, the frog can perform the respective functions it needs to. And the most important endocrine gland found in frog are the pituitary glands, the thyroid glands, the parathyroid glands, the glands related to the thymus, the pineal glands, the pancreatic islets glands, the adrenal glands and the gonads. So therefore various organs secrete various related endocrine glands which help it in performing various functions that are needed for the daily activities of the frog. So this is about the endocrine glands, which is a part of the system for control and coordination in case of the frog. So now all these endocrine glands have been secreted. Now we shall see how the neural system in a frog works. So the neural system in a frog, which is also called as the nervous system, it is organized into a central nervous system which includes the nervous system of the brain and the spinal cord, and it has a peripheral nervous system which includes the cranial nervous system and the spinal nerves, and also it has a autonomic nervous system which includes the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. So as you can see, there is the nervous system, that is the spinal nervous system, and the nervous system belonging to the cerebrum or the cerebellum. All these are the nervous system belonging to the brain. So all these nervous system, that is the spinal nervous system and the nervous system related to the brain, forms the central nervous system of the frog. And next, apart from that, there are also the peripheral nervous system, which also includes the spinal nerves and the cranial nerves, and also it has a sympathetic and a parasympathetic nervous system which is called as the autonomic nervous system of the frogs. So therefore when we look at the cranial system of the frog, so what is the cranial system of the frog? It is nothing but the peripheral nervous system. So there are about 10 pairs of cranial nerves arising from the brain. So from the brain, so crania, it is always something related to the brain. So from the brain, 10 cranial nerves arise, or nervous system arises. 10 pairs of cranial nerves means 20 cranial nerves arises from the brain. That means 10 pairs of cranial nerves arise from the brain, and the brain is enclosed in a bony structure. So it is very hard. It is enclosed like how in our body the brain is enclosed inside a skull, right? Just like that, in a frog, the brain is enclosed in a hard bony structure which is called as the brain box, or in other terms, it is called as the cranium. So cranium is a bony structure that actually protects the brain of the frog, and it is also called as the brain box. And the brain is divided into three main regions. One is the forebrain, the midbrain and the hindbrain. Just like how we have the forebrain and the midbrain and the hindbrain, just like that the frogs also have a forebrain, a midbrain and a hindbrain. That is, it is divided into different parts. The brain is divided into different parts. So next we'll talk about the forebrain. So the forebrain includes the olfactory lobes. So olfactory, it is something related to the mouth region, the nostril region and all that. It is something related to the taste and the smell. So the olfactory lobes, and it has a paired cerebral hemisphere, and also it has an unpaired diencephalon. So these are the different nerves that are present in the forebrain. So the forebrain includes the olfactory lobes, the paired cerebral hemispheres and the unpaired diencephalon. And the midbrain, it consists of a pair of optic lobes, that is something related to the eyes. So the eyes, the optic lobes actually connect between the eye of the frog and to that of the brain. So the midbrain is characterized by a pair of optic lobes, and the hindbrain, it consists of cerebellum, and also it consists of the medulla oblongata. So the medulla oblongata, it actually passes out through the foramen magnum and it continues into the spinal cord. So the nervous system is all connected to one another. So here the medulla oblongata, where is the medulla oblongata present? It is present in the hindbrain. So that medulla oblongata, it passes out through the foramen magnum and it continues into the spinal cord. And where is it present? It is present in the vertebral column. So up till the vertebral column, the frog has the nervous system being extended. So this is about the nervous system of the frog. So next, moving on to the sensory organs in the frog. So the frog has different types of sense organs, such as the organ of touch, which is the sensory papillae, and it has the organ of taste, which is called as the taste buds, and it has the organ of smell, which is the nasal epithelium. So the lining of the nostril or the nasal epithelium helps the frog to smell. Apart from that, it has the organ of vision, that is the eyes, and the organ of hearing, that is the tympanum with internal ears. As you can see, it has the mouth. So in the mouth, what all sense organs are present in the mouth of the frog? It has the sensory papillae, then the taste buds, then nasal epithelium, which is present in the head region of the frog, that is in the nostril, and it has eyes for vision, and it also has tympanum, which is nothing but a sensory organ which functions like a ear, and therefore it helps the frog to sense the sound. So these are the different sensory organs that are present in a frog. And out of all these sensory organs, the eyes and the internal ears, that is the tympanum and the eyes, are well organized structures, and the rest are cellular aggregations around the nerve ending. So only the eyes and the internal ears are well organized, whereas all the other sensory organs, that is, be it the taste buds or be it the nasal epithelium or the sensory papillae, all these are just present as group of cells in the endings of the nerves or at the nerve endings, but only a well organized structure is the eyes and the tympanum. Because eyes and the tympanum, you can easily see it is a well organized structure, but can you see the taste bud, the nasal papillae and all that? No, it is not found, right? So why? Because they are just present at the tip of the nerves, and those are the organs which sends the signals in the through just like chemical compounds. In the form of chemical compounds, they send the signals which move into the brain, and therefore the brain actually activates the different functions of the frog. So this is about the sensory organs. And the eyes in a frog, they are usually made up of a pair of spherical structure which are situated in the orbit of the skull. So you can see here, this is the skull region of the frog. It is situated in the orbit of the skull, and they are present in pairs at two sides. And the eyes are simple eyes, and they while talking about cockroach, I had told you the cockroach has a compound eyes wherein it sees thousands together small images will be formed. But in the case of frog, the eyes are very simple and they possess only one unit. That is, they can see only one image, not small minute images of the same object will not appear. It possesses only one unit, and the external ear is completely absent in the case of frogs, and it possesses only ear-like structures which is called as the tympanum. And the ear is an organ of hearing as well as balancing for the frog. So this tympanum, it is just like a ear. There is no ear-like structure in the case of frogs, when as we see in the case of animals or human beings, only there is the presence of the tympanum, and this tympanum actually helps the frog to hear, not only to hear sounds, but also it helps the frog to balance the equilibrium of its body. So that is the function of the tympanum. So next, moving on to the other anatomical features of the frog, wherein we'll study about the reproductive system. So in the reproductive system, we shall study about the male reproductive system and the female reproductive system separately. So the male reproductive system, it consists of a pair of yellowish ovoid tubes which are found attached to the upper part of the kidney by a double fold of peritoneum called as mesorchium. So as you can see here, it is present just above the kidney. Can you see this yellow part that is present here? It is a yellow folded like structure. It is a pair of yellowish ovoid tube like structures which are found attached to the kidneys, that is to the upper part of the kidneys, by a double fold of peritoneum by a membrane called as the peritoneum, which is called as the mesorchium. So as you can see here, this yellow portion, that is the major male reproductive structure in a frog, which is nothing but the testes, and they are attached to the upper part of the kidney. So how are they attached? They are attached by structures called as the mesorchium. So these are the structures which help in the attachment of the male reproductive part to the upper part of the kidney. And apart from that, they have a vasa efferentia, which are 10 to 12 in number, and they arise from the testes. As you can see, the vasa efferentia, they are usually 10 to 12 in number, and they arise from the testes, and they enter the kidneys on their sides and open into the Bidder's canal. So what is the function of this vasa efferentia? To carry the sperm. So therefore here the vasa efferentia is the one which actually forms a connectivity between the testis to that of the other part of the frog. And finally, this what happens here, the vasa efferentia, they are usually 10 to 12 in number, and they come out of the testes and they enter into the kidneys on their side, and then they open into the Bidder's canal. Once they open into the Bidder's canal, they start to communicate with the urinogenital duct, and from the urinogenital duct that come out of the kidneys and it opens into the cloaca. Therefore, the sperm travels from the testes into the vasa efferentia. From the vasa efferentia, it enters into the kidneys, that is to the, they enter the kidneys, and then they enter into the Bidder's canal. From the Bidder's canal, they enter into the urinogenital duct, and from the urinogenital duct, they open into the cloaca. And the cloaca, it is nothing but a small chamber that is used to pass the fecal matter, the urine, and the sperms. If you remember, usually for the passage of the sperms, like here, the cloaca also not just helps in the passage of the excretory products or the urine, but they also help in the passage of the sperm. So the testis, it is connected, present in the upper part of the kidney, that is connected to the vasa efferentia. That vasa efferentia extends and connects itself to the urinogenital duct. This urinogenital duct enters, connected to the rectum. From the rectum, it is connected to the cloaca and to the cloacal aperture. That is how the sperm from the testis travels, and it comes out of the cloacal aperture from the male frog during the reproductive cycle or during mating phase. So this is about the male reproductive system. Next, moving on to the female reproductive system. So the female reproductive system here includes a pair of ovaries. There in the male reproductive system, it was a pair of testes, right? In the female, it includes a pair of ovaries, and the ovaries are situated near the kidneys, and there is no functional connection with that of the kidneys, right? But in the male, why there was a functional connection? Because it was through the kidneys, through the vasa efferentia and the kidneys, the sperms would actually pass through. But in this case, there is no functional connection. In the case of the female reproductive system of a frog, there is no functional connection with the kidney. So as you can see, there is a pair of ovary being situated on either side of the kidney. It is being attached to the kidney, and the ovaries are directly connected. There is no connectivity, or there is no functional connectivity with that of the ovary and the kidney. But there, in the case of male reproductive system, there was a functional connectivity, and a pair of oviduct arises from the ovaries and it opens into the cloaca separately. So as you can see here, these oviducts are tube-like structure which carries the egg or the ovum. So these oviducts are connected directly to the cloaca. They will connect to the cloaca. Therefore, the egg travels through the oviduct. It enters into that is the place where the egg will actually travel through. So, a pair of oviduct, it arises from the ovaries and then it opens into the cloaca separately. And a mature female frog can lay about 2,500 to 3,000 ova or egg at a time. Imagine these two ovaries can produce about 1,500 or about 2,500 to 3,000 eggs at a time, and the females can lay the eggs. And once the eggs are laid, the fertilization will occur, which is actually external fertilization. So this is about the female reproductive system. So next, moving on to the fertilization. So as I told you, the fertilization is external, and the fertilization usually takes place in the water. That is why if the frog's egg has to be fertilized with that of the sperm of a male frog, then the fertilization is usually external. So because it is external and it requires a water medium, that is why I said half of the life cycle of the frog is on the land and half of it is in the water. So the fertilization usually takes place in the water, and the development is indirect. Why is it indirect? Because there is a larval stage which is called as the tadpole. So why indirect? Because in the larval stage or in the tadpole stage, the tadpole doesn't look like the adult frog. Once it looks like a fish, and later on it will develop into an adult frog. So that is why, because it has a larval stage, the development is indirect here. And the tadpole, finally it undergoes metamorphosis, or it directly gets converted into an adult frog. So this is the fertilization process. So next we shall see the uses of frogs. So frogs are actually beneficial to mankind in many number of ways. We shall see how. So frogs are beneficial for mankind because they eat insects and pests that actually are harmful to the crop. So in agricultural fields and all, there are a lot of insects and pests which comes to feed on the crop. So if the frogs are present, then the number of insects and pests will also decline, because the frogs are carnivores and therefore they will start feeding on these insects and pests. And the frogs, they usually maintain an ecological balance because they serve as an important link of food chain. So what happens here? The frogs will feed on the pests, the mosquitoes, the eggs of the mosquitoes, and what all pest pathogens are there, it will feed on that. And this frog will be fed by a bird. The bird will be eaten by maybe a bigger animal, and that bigger animal will be eaten by another bigger animal. It is like that. It maintains the ecological balance. Therefore, frogs help in maintaining the ecological balance because they form a very important link for the food chain and the food web in the ecosystem. So therefore they are very, very important. Why? Because even imagine if there were no if the frogs were not feeding on the insects, the number of insect pests would have increased, right? That is why the frogs, they keep the population of the insects or the pests in the field minimal. So that is why they help in balancing the ecological system. And in some countries, the legs of the frog, that is the muscular legs, especially the hind legs which are big and muscular, it is used as a food. That is, it is used as delicacies by the people. So frog legs, they roast the frog legs and it is used in the culinary preparations and all that. So for all these, frogs are beneficial. So this is about the uses of the frog. So I hope you understood the session well, wherein I dealt with the other half of the anatomical characters of a frog, wherein in this particular session we studied about the nervous system of the frog, that is the control and coordination, wherein we studied about the endocrine glands and the nervous system, and also we studied about the male and the female reproductive system of a frog, and also we studied about the fertilization and the important uses of frog to mankind or to the human beings, and also its importance in maintaining the ecological balance and the food web. So I hope you understood this session well. We shall meet again with a new chapter in the coming sessions. Thank you.